What was what was or is your wildest moment in your publishing career? Like, it's a career that spans Ms., New York Magazine, USA Today, and Hearst. It's like you succeeded in these big increments.
Well, there were some screw-ups along the way, too. But
well, did you ever stop and bake any cookies or do any of that?
No, didn't bake any cookies.
Give us your Hillary Clinton answer.
I would say that the wildest career chunk for me had to be the launch years of USA Today. I mean, it was just a merry-go-round every single day. I mean, just imagine you're launching a daily newspaper. There is no advertising, none whatsoever, and we had to figure out an advertising strategy. The newspaper was hemorrhaging.
And you were working for a madman.
I was working for a madman, Al Newharth, who just would not take no for an answer, which is where I finally learned to never take no for an answer. In fact, I sent a picture that was taken at a Washington book party of Al and myself down to him a couple of days ago. He just sent it back to me. He said, "You didn't inscribe this and tell me how wonderful I am." But I mean, he was a madman because he had invested so much. The company was Gannett, the parent company, was publicly held. He had to go face Wall Street every quarter. Gannett had never had a down quarter. They never supported USA Today because it was going to drain so much money from the company. But here we were on the startup team. Not just me. I got a lot of credit. I certainly helped with I helped turn it around on the advertising side, which is obviously a huge revenue stream. But it was a killer. The newspaper was printed by satellite. It had to be available on news racks across this country at 6 o'clock in the morning, and if satellite technology didn't exist, it would never have happened. But he was relentless. What I remember was when I first joined the company, and another guy joined at exactly the same time I did in a slightly different capacity, and we went to our first Newharth management meeting. And it was in our offices in New York. We were headquartered in Washington, but it was in New York, which is where I was most of the time. And it was a very dark conference room, and it started at 10 o'clock. And I didn't know this, but Newharth was religiously on time. And he liked to always have people off base a little bit. So inevitably, he would start a meeting early, just to keep people on their toes. Well, I didn't know that. And he would keep it at about 55 degrees. So in any meeting with Newharth, you absolutely were freezing to death. All you could think about is how damn cold you were. But so I'm in my office on a different floor at 54th and Madison. I get a phone call from his assistant. And she says, "Where are you?" I said, "Well, I'm in my office. Why?" And she said, "Well, it's 9:45. I said, "Well, isn't the meeting at 10? Everybody's already assembled." I go up there, and Newharth is at one end, and everybody's down here, and he would spend a lot of time on where people sat. He was fanatic about some details. And it's like the old plates where you slide a person's name in, so he would figure out where people are going to sit. So I'm the newbie here, and the other newbies across from me. And he takes what looks like a medical bill, the ones that are perforated on the edges, and he slowly sort of takes this thing. I have no idea what he's doing. And he takes this thing like this, and he opens it up, and he screams some profanity and wads the thing up and says, "How's anybody going to subscribe to this newspaper if it looks like a medical bill, for Christ?" And he throws it at the circulation director, who is like cowering in his seat on the other side of the room. And the newbie guy and I look at each other, and the look on both of our faces is like, "Oh my God, what have we gotten ourselves into?" And that was just like an easy story. I told about the Last Supper in the book. Do you want me to elaborate on that?
No, let's go on a little with. I want to ask you, Katharine Hepburn was famous for saying that women can't have it all. This was one of her theories. You couldn't have a career and children and make it all work. And then that other superwoman, Barbara Walters, finally decided you could have 2 out of 3. You could have a great marriage, great job, no kids. That was the parlay. But you seem to have a 360-degree idea that women can have it all.
Well,
Is that just you, Cathie, who can have it all?
And my kids better not answer this question, please. What I like to say is this is a very personal decision. So I don't think a blanket, can you have it all or can you not have it all, is it's not like one-stop shopping. You've got to look inside of yourself. In fact, I think Oprah's phrase of live your best life is really very important here. What I like to say is you can have it all but not on the same day. And there's going to be days when it completely falls apart, when someone's sick or doesn't show up or your children really need you or you've got a flight to take or your flight's late coming home or any of that kind of stuff. But I decided in my early 30s or mid 30s that I was divorced at the time, that I really did want children. It was very important to me. We ended up adopting 2 great kids, my new husband and I, which was now 25 years ago.
And you adopted the first one when you were starting a new job.
Well, about a year into it, which was pretty wild at USA Today, but we managed through it. But I think the thing that is so important is that it takes a village. And that is an African proverb, even though Hillary wrote a book. But I think it does take a village, and it's not about love being up in little boxes. It is allowing other people to really help you with your life. And so in the early days, it was my in-laws plus a nanny. Over the years, it's been a nanny and other people. And I think, knock on wood, our kids seem to be in pretty good shape. So I think everybody has to make that decision really for themselves.
Right.